As you might have gathered from my last video, I'm not always going to talk about things relating to motorcycles. I figure there is enough people out there doing that right now that you don't need me to as well. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love motorcycles, but that's just a tiny part of all the stuff that I'm interested in. And I'll probably talk a lot more about non-motorcycle stuff. For example, you know, cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin or Ethereum.
That's right. And all these moments look fly today. And all we wanna do is get by today. Hey, we're gonna have a good day. And ain't nobody gotta cry today. Cause ain't nobody gonna die today. You can save that trouble for another day. Hey, we're gonna have a good day. We're gonna have a good day.
Bitcoin has been doing really, really well here lately. And so is Ethereum for that matter. I started buying Ethereum and kind of got into that about a little over a year ago. And when I started buying those coins, they were right at 70. No, I'm sorry. When I started buying those coins, they were right at $7 a piece. Yesterday, they were at $96 a piece. So that's a pretty good return on the investment. Unfortunately, I also discovered trading, and that did not go nearly as well. That might be another video. Don't do it, guys. Really don't. Like, that is probably the only way to lose money faster than gaining it with crypto stuff. You can get lucky a lot, and maybe you're even really good at you know, reading stock charts or crypto charts. But it just takes one mistake to lose a lot of money. So it's honestly, I've kind of converted back to the camp of just buy it and hold it. You know, I figure it's probably a safe assumption that less than 5% of the world's population has interacted with Bitcoin at this point. You know, even though it's been around since 2012, 2013. So, you know, it was up to $1,500, $1,600 yesterday for one Bitcoin. That's crazy. You know, and there are going to be setbacks. Prices are going to drop, so don't, you know, rush out thinking you're going to buy a bunch and money's going to double overnight. But over time, I still feel like it's a very solid investment. Much better than letting your money just sit in the bank earning you 0.001% interest. Especially if you can get into it in a period of time where things are kind of stable. If the price is kind of stuck in one place for a long time, that's probably one of the better times to get in. You know, you don't want to buy into a rally unless you're sure it's going to continue, because, you know, the price could go up $50 a day every day for a week and then drop $400 in a day. So it's very, very high risk, but it's also high reward. So I'm just going to buy a couple 1080 Ti's today and start mining with them. It's not super profitable to mine Bitcoin at home. In fact, you might not be able to make a return on your investment at all. But there are other coins that you can mine. And there's a lot of really cool, you know, startups and tech and new tokens and stuff going on right now. I would definitely look into it if you're not familiar. You know, look into it, and then if you decide it's too risky or you don't want anything to do with it, you're not interested, you know, at least you looked into it. Because, man, let me tell you, if somebody would have come to me and pushed me hard to get into Bitcoin back in 2013 or even 2014, you know, I wouldn't be working today. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation today. So many people have had their lives changed by Bitcoin. It's insane. But don't get greedy with it, you know, like, don't go throw $10,000 into Bitcoin and thinking you're going to pull out $20,000 next week, because it doesn't always work like that, and more times than not it doesn't. Just buy a little bit at a time. I hate to recommend them because they're kind of a noob site, I guess. But if you're just getting into crypto stuff, go to Coinbase.com and set up an account. It's probably the easiest exchange to use for new users. And the really nice thing that I always liked about it was that you can set up recurring buys. So if you know you get paid every 2 weeks, take $10 every 2 weeks and just buy Bitcoin at whatever price it's at, or Ethereum. You know, buy it at what, $10 worth, no matter what the price is, and just plan on holding it for years, several years, and see what comes back to you on that. Because I can almost bet, I can't guarantee it, but I feel like there's a very high likelihood that what comes back to you is going to be significantly more than what you put in. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool projects going on out there right now. Two that are kind of on my radar are STORJ, S-T-O-R-J, and SIA. Both of these are focused on decentralized file storage. So kind of like Dropbox, but it doesn't rely on a centralized server for storing files. They're actually encrypted, broken into a bunch of shards, and spread across multiple other users' computers. And in exchange for hosting your files, they get paid. It's a very small amount, but it adds up. For using to store your files, the pricing on both should end up being cheaper than Amazon S3, and most certainly cheaper than Dropbox itself. Neither of these are user-friendly. They're both very early prototypes, I guess. They've both been around for a couple of years, and they are still under heavy development. So I'm excited and curious to see where those turn up, or, you know, what becomes. I'm excited and curious to see what comes of those in the next few years. But it's a really cool idea. You know, you could use these for backups, or you could use it for, if, you know, like with making YouTube videos, you know, especially with a GoPro, you end up with lots of footage that takes up quite a bit of storage space. I think I've only been doing this for a couple months now, and I've already got well over 500 gigs of video just sitting around. I don't necessarily want to delete it yet, just in case I decide to go back and use some of it. But I may not either. So that, I mean, to me, that would be a pretty good use case for this, for either of these, STORJ or SIA. You know, alternatively, I could go out and continue to buy additional hard drives. I think my setup now has about 12 terabytes of space. I could most certainly increase that if I needed to, but not everybody's going to be able to do that, and not everybody is going to want to do that. There is also another project that I think is really cool called Golem. And that Golem is based off of the Ethereum network. The purpose of Golem is to build a network that lets you rent other people's spare computing resources I think their proof of concept right now is for video rendering, which is an extremely useful use case. Think of how long videos take to process in Adobe Premiere. You know, if you're making a 10-minute video, it might take you 20-30 minutes depending on your setup to process that video. You know, what if you could pay $1 and have it done in 5 minutes or less? You know, stuff like that. That's, to me, that's really cool. It's very interesting. It's something that I am following and have actually invested a little bit into. You know, I don't think that it's going to blow up overnight, but I do think it has the potential in the future to be pretty big. And if and when that happens, that's a train that I want to be on. So right now I have been mining SIA coin with a EVGA 1070, GTX 1070, and I'm getting pretty decent hash rates out of it. With the overclock, I'm able to get about 1800 mega hashes per second. I'm hoping that the 1080 Ti's are better than that. They should be, but we'll see how they actually do. Right now, SIA coin is pretty cheap. It's only 2/100ths of a cent right now if you convert it to US dollars, or about 160 Satoshi if you are converting to Bitcoin. But I feel like that has the potential to get much larger in the future, and I would like to mine up as much of that right now as I'm able to while it's still mineable. And then once I feel like I have enough out of that, I'm going to stick both of these cards on nice hash and just let them be used and hopefully cover the initial investment on them. So I got my cards, managed to get them both squeezed into my backpack. It didn't zip, but thank goodness there are a bunch of extra straps on it, so I just got them all strapped in. And I gotta go home and hook it all up. And I got stuck working this weekend, so this will probably be the only chance I get to get outside today or this weekend at all, unfortunately. But at least I got something to keep me busy besides work.